Earthbox consists primarily of a container, and the bottom portion of the container is where the water is stored, and the water is separated by soil from this grate right here, and the grate has holes in it in order to allow air to aerate through the soil.
Okay.
And then the third part of an Earthbox is the watering tube. So the watering tube essentially goes through the soil down to the water reservoir and peeks up through the top plastic cover, so you can easily add water or not. And then there is an overfill hole toward the bottom, so that the water portion is always separated from the soil portion. So if you're actually adding too much water, it overfills out of the bottom, letting you know that the bottom portion is full of water. And I think an Earthbox holds 2 gallons of water.
Okay. So with the holes, then, not only does it aerate the soil, but I imagine because it's half hydroponics, that the roots grow through the grate as well?
They actually do. When the plants mature, the roots grow through the grate. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and I also see 2 holes here in each corner, and what exactly are these little cutouts here?
Okay, those cutouts are so that you can pack soil in each of them. And that soil has direct contact with the water.
Oh, okay.
And you can see that there are grooves in these chambers.
Sure.
So the soil mostly stays in those chambers instead of oozing out. Some of it might.
I get it. So it's a concept of like a towel. It's going to absorb or draw up the water. Now that those are wet, it's going to constantly grab water from the reservoir and feed the rest of the soil.
Yeah, like a sponge.
Okay.
If you dip a corner of a sponge in some water, the whole sponge will become wet.
Okay, gotcha.
And the actual soil is a little bit different in terms of the consistency of it. You need a very light soil that doesn't hold water too long. So it's comprised mainly of peat moss, of perlite and vermiculite. Perlite and vermiculite are minerals which, when heated up, puff up, similar to the consistency of like styrofoam. So suspension of these minerals in the peat moss actually make for a very light and fluffy soil. So the water can move and oxygen can move through the soil very easily. And then the other component, as well as the soil, is the fertilizer. And you use a granulated fertilizer like this. This is Lily Miller, and it's specially formulated for food crops. So these 3 numbers are important. First one is nitrogen, the second one is phosphorus, the third is potassium. And these are the 3 macronutrients which help plants grow.
So all this education that you're sharing with me today, is that something that you read on your own, or just through trial and error, or is that through websites?
The Earthbox website has a lot of great information, as well as a user forum.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever have questions, or if you want to see photographs of other people's success with Earthboxes or pests that they're trying to contend with, you can go on the Earthbox website, and there's a whole bunch of helpful information. And this fertilizer, as you'll see when we replant your existing box, is placed at the very top of the soil in a very narrow strip.
Oh, okay.
So what happens over time is the microorganisms inside the soil start to break down the nutrients in the fertilizer, and by gravity starts to distribute those nutrients into the soil so that the roots of the plants can absorb the nutrients.
Okay. And so I'm putting it in a narrow band. What does that do? Protect the plants, the plants from not getting burned, or?
Right. So the roots of the plants don't burn from the exposure to the fertilizer.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And it's a very good way of slow releasing the fertilizer.
Now, before we get started, one last question really is so right here, what's the size of these things here?
Approximately a foot wide by 2.5 feet long, and they hold 2 cubic feet worth of potting mix.
Okay, and at your house, when you got started in this, now what you're saying, what we're going to plant today is this size here, but what do you have at your home, and what kind of crops have you grown over the last 3 years?
I have about 6 earth boxes right now at home.
This size or larger?
This size.
Okay.
I actually started making my own earth boxes out of those blue bins. What are they called?
The Rubbermaid?
Rubbermaid bins.
Right.
Yeah, because essentially I was trying to save money instead of spending $30 a piece on earth boxes. But I found that over the course of 2 years, exposed to the sun, the Rubbermaid boxes
they disintegrate.
So I would have been better off just investing in the earth boxes from the beginning, because they're made of really thick UV-resistant plastic, which supposedly lasts at least 10 years.
Okay, and when you made your own, what did you use for a grate? Because it looks like obviously these are fitted grates, and
Right.
here...
What I did was I doubled up the Rubbermaid bins, and in the inner bin I drilled holes in the bottom to create that grate, and then I made my own little wicking system.
Okay, smart.
And they actually worked very well for 2 years, but like I said, they started to crack.
And what exactly did you grow other than lettuce and herbs? Did you grow...
Just a whole variety of crops. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, parsley, cilantro, onions, carrots. Carrots did really well. Anything that I could find at the nursery that I like to eat, I bought and I planted.
All right, well, today Albert's going to help. Well, like I said, we're going to replant mine, and because it's summer months, and Monica and I, and we like to entertain a lot of Mexican food, or I like spicy foods. We're going to plant some jalapenos today. I got a cilantro. I also got 1 Anaheim pepper, and I believe 1 ancho, or otherwise known as poblano. So we're going to go ahead and plant those today. So I guess let's get started.